Good morning. Thanks for joining us on TNT. A brand new week. Let's hope it's a better week than it was last week. A very sad day last Thursday when we had the mass shooting up in northeastern Thailand. And of course, a lot of today's discussion will be a bit of the fallout, particularly involving one particular network in relation to the fallout and aftershock from that particular event. Thank you very much to the people that joined us on the weekend on our Saturday morning chit chat, and we'd like to invite you to subscribe to the channel. If you're new to TNT, we do this 5 days a week around about sort of 9:30 a.m. It gets uploaded onto Mr. YouTube's channel, and we appreciate the fact that you take the time to check it out. But let's get started with today's main news stories. Well, a lot of social media discussion over the weekend has been over what's been described as almost an invasion by a CNN news crew. So we'll get to some of the response on that. For Cowside English saying that two CNN news crew accused of illegally entering the Nong Bua Lumpur massacre crime scene prostrated and apologised to the Thai people yesterday. They said they had no intention to cause more pain to the Thai people. Present was Police General Surachat Hakpan, also known as Big Joke, who thanked them for their gesture. So Surachat has certainly come back into force in more ways than one. At one stage, he basically left the police force. He was forced out after prying into payments made to buy particular immigration equipment to do with the thumbprints that you do when you arrive in the country. Anyway, he's back, and obviously back in the media. He was the poster boy for Thai police for many years, and it now looks like he's almost back up to his original position. Well, before we get into other aspects of this particular story, let's talk about this one. If you're an overseas news crew and you want to cover what is probably regarded as a hot story, you need to get on site pretty quick. Now, the easiest way, if you're an we've got an Australian and a British citizen in this case, and they can both just arrive in the country and be stamped in for, at the moment, 45 days. And that's precisely what they did, and headed up to the Isan area to cover the story. So if you are a news crew, you're just going to try and get into the country as soon as you can. So going through the usual pleasantries of getting a properly accredited media pass in this case would have been untimely and unsuitable. So they did what they could, and they just arrived on a plane, and they were stamped into Thailand and went straight up to the news scene. Let's see how this story is covered today. From the Bangkok Post, CNN visas revoked, charges pending over unethical coverage. And we'll get to that photo in just a moment. The Immigration Bureau has withdrawn visas issued for two CNN reporters after they entered the off-limits childcare centre where a mass shooting took place to report on the story. Now, as far as them visiting the crime scene, and I think what they're saying, they entered the off-limits childcare centre, the centre had been, trampled by many, many others in the days before the CNN crew got there. And we'll go to some particular instances in just a moment. Further to that, the second paragraph says the Immigration Bureau chief said on Sunday, that's yesterday, the visas for the two crew members had been revoked on the grounds they were not eligible to work in the country. We've already covered that. So the next paragraph says that they entered Thailand on tourist visas, which did not allow them to work in the country. Well, as we've said, they didn't actually enter on tourist visas. Because they're British and Australian citizens, they entered on the visa exemption program. So the two have not left the country as of now. So as far as we know, the two are still in the country, even though it appears that they've had their visas revoked. Well, that was the latest that we saw. So in this next paragraph, it says they trespassed the crime scene and reported from inside the building. The picture of the two climbing over the fence from the centre went public on Saturday. That's the picture that went viral and has certainly caused quite a lot of consternation amongst people who perhaps don't quite understand the full timeline of people going in and out of that building. However, the two of them, they're caught red-handed climbing over the tape that they claim was put up after they went inside the building. Well, that's their side of the story anyway. CNN later on Sunday said that it had removed the report from its website, but it stopped short of an admission of wrongdoing. And then down the bottom on the Bangkok Post report, the Deputy National Police Chief said on Saturday there would possibly be some more charges against the two. So let's go to some more of the fallout. This from Calsod English, and saying that CNN Executive Vice President said that they deeply regret filming inside the crime scene, and they say they went in with permission from health officials. Well, I'm not exactly sure why health officials would be able to give permission for a media crew to go into a building that wasn't actually run by the health department. So, question on that one. The team entered the building, he said, in good faith to gain a fuller impression of what transpired inside and to humanise the scale of the tragedy for the audience. And down the bottom it says that Prawit Wongsuwon was quoted by INN News that no official has allowed the CNN news crew, and also the Public Health Minister Anutin said CNN shouldn't claim that they were allowed in by health officials. To this coverage on Thai PBS World, CNN regrets distress caused by coverage of the mass murder in northeast Thailand. The statement from CNN went on saying that had the team understood that the health officials were not authorised to grant such permission, they would have not have entered. And then the statement explained that the CNN team entered the compound of the childcare centre through an open gate, while other reporters were already present, they said, that the compound was not cordoned off with police tape, which they say was later put up, forcing them to climb over the gate after they spent about 15 minutes inside. Let's go to some coverage on CNN, and indeed the main story, the offending story, has been removed and been replaced by more of a general piece showing the mourning of the community, united in grief, the headline there, showing some mourning family and parents, and quite a good piece actually. What lessons can be learned, and then this photo. So certainly in the immediate aftermath, way before the CNN crew got there, the crime scene had been well trampled over by various people. Even red carpets rolled out for dignitaries. Officials from around the region had visited. The Prime Minister and his entourage had visited the scene. So I'm not sure exactly why they should say that the area was a cordoned off crime scene. I mean, clearly it wasn't before the CNN crew got there. So I think there has been some genuine misunderstandings here. News crews will go out of their way to get the story. They will cross the line. Sometimes they'll do things that may be strictly illegal, or maybe in this case inappropriate, but this happens all the time, and the best news crews will sometimes do things to get the story, to ask the questions, and to get to the nub of the issue. So probably here also a certain amount of cultural misunderstanding, but my understanding at this stage is that the two have been fined 5,000 baht each, and at the moment they still appear to be in the country. So it looks like things have calmed down a bit, and we'll bring you any more information about that particular story as it may or may not come to hand. So this is TNT. It's Monday, a brand new week, and hope you had a good weekend. Thanks to our sponsors, 5 Star Marine, where you can get on a boat just like this and head out to an island like this or this. So thank you very much to their support. There's a link in the description of this video. Just the final comment, I suppose, on the last story. And this from coverage on CNN as it happens, and it says Greg Raymond from Australian National University says he sees parallels between the mass shooting in 2020, that's the one that occurred in Korat in Nakhon Ratchasima, and what happened last Thursday at the daycare centre. Both perpetrators had served as officers in a country with a strong policing and military presence. He said these are young men. They appear to have become alienated in some way, and they had access to weapons. So as we mentioned on our Saturday program, obviously there's quite a few difficult questions to ask and issues about mental health here in Thailand, about services available, about gun control, and also about access to drugs. A lot of quite difficult questions, which culturally are things that Thais sometimes don't necessarily like to discuss. Let's go to our next story today. And this is a Phuket Airport Immigration Daily Report. And when I checked it out over the weekend, I saw some numbers which I thought, well, they're looking good. Then I had a bit of a deeper look. Now you can see that graph there goes over about the last 3 months, numbers creeping up and then sort of plateauing over the past 2 months and even starting to drop a bit until we got a surge. Now that first surge there, the 5,958, that's the number of passengers that came into the country, into the Phuket immigration arrivals area on the 1st of October. What happened on the 1st of October? That was the first day that people were allowed to come to Thailand and automatically get stamped in for 45 days. Or if they were on a visa on arrival, they would have got an increase from 15 to 30 days. So people perhaps waiting for the 1st of October when they could get that 50% or so increase on their time in the country. So you can also see it sort of dropped down there during the week and then it popped back up on the weekend to another 5,900 day. Now we might be patting ourselves on the back and saying, yay, huge surge, people coming back into the country. Even if we had that 6,000 people every single day for the whole year, that would still represent only about 20% of the number of people who were coming into the Phuket airport back in 2019, where they used to get around about 1 million people per month. So the other interesting part of that particular graph, let's go over here and we can play Name This Flag. So at the top, the most number of people coming in between the start of the year and let's see, the date was Saturday, which was the 9th of October. Indian citizens, 132,000. Just remembering this is just Phuket International Airport. This has nothing to do with Bangkok Airport, although you could probably say the numbers are slightly indicative. I couldn't find the arrival numbers for Suvarnabhumi, otherwise I would have included them. Interestingly, the second highest number of tourists coming in over the past 9 or so months, Australians, then Singaporeans, then we've got Malaysians and the British. The next one down there is slightly interesting, which is the flag for Russia. Now, at the start of the year, there were quite a few Russian tourists coming back. Indians, Russians, people from Europe and Great Britain were the highest number of arrivals. Then, of course, there was the February invasion of the Russian army into Ukraine, and the number of Russian arrivals in Thailand, well, just about the rest of the world, completely tanked. So there at number 6 is Russia, and since September the 21st up to this weekend, there's been a huge influx of Russian tourists into both Bangkok Airport and Phuket Airport. Now, it goes without saying, I think we know what's going on here. On September the 21st, the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, announced that he was going to conscript young men to go to war against Ukraine. There has been a huge exodus of young men, in many cases with their families as well, out of Russia by any means. A lot of it through Kyrgyzstan, where people can cross the borders. And the Kazakh president over the weekend said that in the first 10 days since September the 1st, some 200,000 Russian, mostly men, crossed over the borders into Kazakhstan, where they are currently welcoming them, although a lot of them are in transit to places like Turkey, to places like Egypt, even the Maldives, Azerbaijan, where Russian people can get visa exemptions into those countries for a limited time, including Thailand. So I think the problem is that once these tourist visas and the possible extensions run out, these people are going to want to stay somewhere. They're certainly not wanting to go back to Russia whilst the situation remains as it is at the moment. How are these people going to stay? What sort of visas are they going to stay on? They're not refugees because this is not considered officially a war. So exactly what's going to happen to them, I think, will be an interesting problem for governments around the world, including Thailand. To some flood coverage now from The Nation. Runoffs from the Ubon Ratana Dam inundate many areas of Khon Kaen. Khon Kaen is sort of north of some of the major flood areas in the last couple of weeks that suffered under the tropical storm Noru. But now it's suffering as water is being released from the dam, inundating the communities. Many parts of Khon Kaen province were inundated, exceeding its capacity, the dam there, by 87 million cubic metres, and saying that these districts around Khon Kaen have been badly affected, and it looks like other areas besides the areas immediately affected by floods last week are now starting to suffer. From The Nation, it's time for Per Thai to take over, says Pattongtarn, as she urges Prayut to step aside. Now, this is a story, I suppose, part of our unofficial election campaign, which has clearly started in Thailand. There will be an election at the very, very latest in April or May next year. I think the Election Commission has actually even penciled in the date of May the 7th, given that if the current Parliament runs its full length to March the 23rd next year, it will have to be dissolved, whether Prayut wants it or not at that stage, or whoever's running the country at that time, and there will be another general election. And the Per Thai party is probably one of two parties, that also includes the Move Forward party, who are definitely going to be the front runners in the next election. And at the event announcing Per Thai party's key policies for the next general election, the former PM Thaksin Shinawat's daughter, his youngest daughter, said that General Prayut Chan-o-cha's time as PM is over. Pattongtarn Shinawat, says the second paragraph, who oversees the Per Thai party family program. Well, if she's going to be the prime ministerial candidate, she probably needs to be stepping up and doing more than just running their family program. I think if Per Thai wants to be taken seriously, I suppose they want a certain amount of surprise element when she is announced as the prime ministerial candidate, but I would have thought they'd be giving her some bigger duties, even though she did announce over the weekend the party's policies. But just the head of the family program doesn't sound like the sort of person, the pool from which you'd be finding your next prime minister to run the country. Bit of a sad story over the weekend. This from The Nation Thailand's Facebook page. Thailand suffered a heartbreak at the FIVB Volleyball Women's World Championship. So close, but no cigar. So sad for the Thai volleyball women's team, who have done so well and surprised many, many people, getting to the finals there and just falling short. So commiserations to the supporters of the Thai volleyball women's team, and well, congratulations to them for doing so well to get as far as they did. That is our coverage for today's TNT. I do thank you very much for tuning in. Please, if you'd get a moment, subscribe to the channel, because that does really help us. But from the entire team, that's me, thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.